All right, if you're gearing up for the SAFE exam, you know there are certain topics that are guaranteed to pop up. And near the top of that list is the adjustable rate mortgage, or ARM. So in this explainer, we're going to crack the code on ARMs so you can walk into that test feeling totally confident. Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll cover the basics in ARM 101. Then, we'll get into the actual math, the ARM calculation. After that, we'll look at the super important safety features, the rate caps. And finally, we'll wrap up with the disclosures you absolutely have to know. Let's jump in. To really get a handle on an ARM, you got to know its core components. You see, every single ARM has three key moving parts that work together to decide how that interest rate changes. And by the time we're done here, you'll be able to name all three and explain exactly how they fit together. Okay, Section 1, Adjustable Rate Mortgages 101. Let's start from square one. What even is an ARM? You know how a fixed-rate loan has an interest rate that's, well, fixed for life? An ARM is kind of the opposite. The big thing to remember is that after an initial fixed period, the interest rate can and will change. And when that rate changes, so does the borrower's monthly payment. It could go up or it could go down. Now, the type you're going to run into most often is called a hybrid ARM. And the cool thing is, the name tells you everything you need to know. For example, a 7/1 ARM means the rate is fixed for the first 7 years. Then, after that, it adjusts once every 1 year. See? Simple. So how does that rate actually adjust? It's not just a random guess. It's all based on a really simple formula. Let's pop the hood and look inside the engine room. The first piece of the puzzle is the index. The best way to think about this is like the market weather. It's a public benchmark rate that reflects what's happening in the economy. And here's the crucial part for your exam. The lender has zero control over the index. It is completely out of their hands. Now, for the test, you don't need to be a Wall Street wizard. But it's super helpful to be able to recognize some of these common indices. These are the big ones that lenders use to drive those rate adjustments. Okay, so if the index is the unpredictable weather, the second part is the margin. You can think of the margin as the lender's profit, or their cost of doing business. It's a fixed percentage that they add on top. And this is so important. Unlike the weather, the margin is set in stone in the loan agreement. It never, ever changes. And here's the magic formula that brings it all together. It's simply the index plus the margin, and that equals the fully indexed rate. Now think about this from a test question perspective. If the margin is fixed, what is the only thing that can change the borrower's interest rate? You got it, a change in the index. You know, an adjusting rate sounds a little risky, doesn't it? If the index suddenly skyrockets, what's to stop the borrower's rate from going through the roof? Well, that's where ARMs have these built-in safety features called caps, and understanding these is absolutely essential for the SAFE exam. You'll almost always see caps written out like a secret code, a series of 3 numbers, something like 2-3-6. This isn't random, I promise. Each one of those numbers has a very specific job to do, so let's decode it. That first number, the 2, is the initial cap. It protects the borrower on the very first rate adjustment. The second number, the 3, is the periodic cap. That limits how much the rate can change at all the later adjustments. And that last number, the 6, is the lifetime cap. That's the absolute ceiling. The rate can never increase more than that amount over its entire life. So why do all these caps exist? What's the big idea? Well, it all comes down to one critical concept: preventing payment shock. You can bet you'll see that term on your exam. It's that dangerous situation where a borrower's payment suddenly jumps so high that they can't afford it anymore. These caps are the guardrails. Okay, so you've nailed the mechanics. But being an MLO is about more than just knowing how the product works. You also have to know the rulebook. And for ARMs, the rules for disclosures fall under the Truth in Lending Act, or TLA. Under TILA, there are 2 main disclosures you gotta provide for an ARM. First up is the CHARM booklet. Think of this as the general educational pamphlet. It's given at application, and it helps the consumer understand the basic features and risks of ARMs in general. The second thing you have to provide is the ARM program disclosure. Now, if the CHARM booklet is the general textbook, think of this as the specific blueprint for the borrower's actual loan. This document gets into the nitty-gritty, spelling out the exact index, margin, and rate caps for the program they're applying for. And here is a number to burn into your memory for test day: 60 days. TILA is crystal clear about this. A notice about an upcoming rate change has to be sent to the borrower at least 60 days before that new adjusted payment is due. That gives them time to prepare, no last-minute surprises. So look, understanding how an ARM works, the index, the margin, the caps, that's half the battle, and you've got it down. But the other half, and really the core of being a great MLO, is using this knowledge to put borrowers into loans that are genuinely suitable for them, loans that they fully understand. It's not just about what's possible, it's about what's right for your client.